$222 billion. That was the market capitalization of American Online, otherwise known as AOL, during its peak in December of 1999. But now it's become a shell of its former self. Verizon acquired the company for $4.4 billion in 2015 and sold it to a private equity firm for $5 billion in 2021. That is just about 3% of the company's value at its peak. If you started using the internet anywhere between 1991 and the early 2000s, the chances of you having used AOL synonymously with the internet are very high. Anyone remember that annoying dial-up noise as we waited 30 seconds to connect to the internet? No? Someone cue the music. Music to our ears. Believe it or not, this is how it looked any and every time we wanted to connect to and surf the web back then. AOL was literally the internet back in those days. They played a huge part in bringing many people online and defining the internet to the point where it became the cultural icon it is today. The company seemed unstoppable. Its revenue increased from just $50 million in 1993 to almost $8 billion in 2020. They seemed to be thriving, but in just 2 years of being at its peak, it posted a net loss of $98 billion. And to put that into better context for you, this was the largest annual net loss in American corporate history ever. This is the story of AOL. So how did a company that was once one of the most valuable companies in the world become a thing of the past? Today, we'll look into the topple of a once internet juggernaut. Let's do it. The story of AOL started in 1983. Initially, it did not provide the kind of service it later became known for. It was initially known as Control Video Corporation, CVC, which William von Meister founded. It had only one product, and it was an online service that allowed gamers to hook up their Atari 2600 game console to the phone line to download video games. The concept was good but never left any mark on the customers or the market, so it inevitably failed. Not ready to give up yet, an investor in the company founded another company from what was left of the CVC. The company was named Quantum Computer Services and was founded in May 1985. By this time, Steve Case had worked with the old CVC company for 2 years and would be an integral part of AOL. He was hired on as a marketing consultant at CVC on the recommendation of his brother. When CVC went bankrupt and a new company was formed, Steve moved to the new company. Seeing his potential, he was promoted to executive vice president and subsequently became the CEO of the company after the previous CEO, Jim Kimsey, retired. The core business model of Quantum Computer was to give its customers access to news, email, instant messaging, and online shopping while also educating them. They promoted their service as an online service that can be used by people unfamiliar with computers. They kept it as simple as they could. The company changed its name to America Online in 1989. Steve Chase was about to bring considerable changes to the company and change the face of the company. The first major change Chase brought was taking the company public. The company went public in 1992 at $11.50 per share. The company aimed to get as many people online as possible and mainly targeted everyday people. Now, this could not be done without aggressive marketing. So what did they do? They started mailing anyone and everyone their product via CD-ROMs for them to try with a few hours of free service. Think of it like the PR packages that influencers offer these days. Twice every week, everyone on their mailing list was getting sent these CDs with AOL software. You could even get them for free in stores like Target. The CDs just kept coming in the mail. Some people literally had hundreds. These kinds of aggressive marketing moves usually work because our curiosity gets the best of us. And of course, AOL blew up. Everyone was using it. The internet was once used by academies and had a niche community. Now everyone had access to it. You could do anything from emails to instant messaging to games to news. When I say everyone was online, I mean everyone. For a bit of context, AOL had 200,000 subscribers in 1992, and it had increased to 25 million by 2000. At one point, They had reached so many subscribers that they were having a hard time handling the servers.
It could be called the silence of the techno-nerds. The world's largest computer service, America Online, went down yesterday for 19 hours, taking with it millions of subscribers who were suddenly cut off from their information wonderland.
I mean, every business would love to have a problem like that, right? They also started charging for the subscriptions every month rather than hourly. Yes, I know what you're thinking. There was a time when you could pay for your subscriptions hourly. The company kept on growing. It looked like it was unstoppable. By the end of 1999, its market capitalization was over $200 billion, making it one of the most valuable companies in the world. It had more than 25 million paying subscribers. It had a revenue of almost $8 billion. The company was a household name and a cultural icon. But everything came crashing down for the company, and it's safe to say it never recovered. The company reported a net loss of $98 billion for 2002. This was the largest annual net loss in U.S. corporate history. As I said before, the company never recovered from this and has been bought and sold by many companies in hopes of reviving it, but they've not been able to do so. For now, AOL has become a distant memory. So how did the company that was seemingly doing so well get here? Not one factor has contributed to the company's current situation. Many people usually blame the merger of AOL with Time Warner for its ultimate demise, but the company's downfall had already started before this. We will look into the role the merger played in its downfall later. But first, let's talk about one of the reasons for their failure: refusing to evolve with the changing market. Time and time again, we see companies doing exceptionally well failing because they refuse to adapt to the market's needs. In the case of AOL, the company was too late to adapt to broadband. It was unwilling to invest in it, which was a costly mistake. Had they built their own broadband infrastructure, they would not have lost their market share. No matter how great of a company you are, your consumers' loyalty lasts until you can provide them with something of value. Once you're unable to do that, and they have a better option, they will switch to those options. The same thing happened with AOL. It failed to keep up with its competitors. No matter how much people loved AOL, as soon as there were service providers that provided high-speed internet, customers switched to those businesses instantly. AOL saw a huge decrease in their subscriptions. With rapid technological changes, the sooner you can adapt to those changes, the better your competitive advantage, and AOL realized that a little too late. Now, if all of this was not enough, the internet bubble burst was another thing that affected the company severely. AOL and many other companies were thriving because of the dot-com bubble. AOL relied heavily on ad revenue, and when the dot-com bubble burst, many of the companies that were flourishing during this time vanished. This meant the revenue of the company drastically decreased. The company was already facing a lot of competition and loss of paying subscribers because of the option of high-speed internet. Now let's talk about the merger many people believe to have caused its ultimate demise. In the year 2000, when the company was at its peak, the executives decided that it was time to expand their horizons, and what better way than to merge with one of the most influential media companies of that time, right? The acquisition of Time Warner cost the company over $160 billion, making it one of the largest mergers in history. It was an all-stock deal where AOL shareholders owned 55% of the combined entity, and Time Warner would own 45%.
Pretty clearly, if you looked at last Friday, the market cap of AOL was twice the size of Time Warner. I have made a judgment, which I believe to be correct, that going forward, the Time Warner shareholders will be much better off owning 45% of AOL Time Warner than 100% of Time Warner.
From simply AOL, the company became AOL Time Warner. It looked like things could not go any better for the company, but they were wrong. While this merger was taking place, the competition was increasing. They lacked innovation, and the dot-com bubble burst. The revenue declined drastically as ad revenue stopped because tech companies went bankrupt left and right. Initially, AOL and Time Warner seemed like a perfect fit, but that was not the case anymore. People were enthusiastic about the internet until this point, but with the dot-com bubble burst, people were not so sure anymore. Because of this, there was a cultural clash between AOL and Time Warner employees. Not only this, the company also had some run-ins with the law. A complaint was filed in Virginia, where the government charged the company with aiding and abetting securities fraud. Everything that could go wrong for the company was going wrong. The partnership that was supposed to take them to new heights was a flop. During this time, the company's share price was down by almost 90%. This merger is now considered one of the most disastrous mergers in history. So much for reaching new heights, huh? Like many tech companies, AOL stock was overhauled because of the dot-com bubble, and the management at AOL took full advantage of the high market capitalization of AOL to acquire Time Warner. By 2006, AOL was not dominating the market and was actually struggling to keep up with its competitors. The golden days of AOL were over. The merger was a huge failure, and everyone could see that. In 2006, when activist Carl Icahn acquired a stake in the company, he insisted that Time Warner and AOL should separate. This finally happened in 2009, when the company again became independent. By this time, AOL was getting crushed by its competitors, and its chances of reviving seemed slim. At this point, it had nothing to offer its customers. The company's market capitalization had fallen to around $3.5 billion. Attempts to get the company back on track failed, and Verizon acquired the company for $4.4 billion.
Mobile network provider Verizon has purchased AOL for the sizable sum of $4.4 billion. Following the acquisition, America Online will become its own separate division within Verizon, with CEO Tim Armstrong retaining his position at AOL.
In 2017, Verizon purchased Yahoo, combined Yahoo and AOL in one division, and created Oath.
The remnants of two companies that once revolutionized the internet will join forces to become a brand new digital brand. AOL and Yahoo will merge to become a new telecom company called Oath.
It looked like AOL still had some hope for revival, but it did not work in the end. It failed to generate the expected revenue. In 2018, Verizon announced it was taking a write-down of $4.6 billion on Oath. On May 2, 2021, Verizon announced that it would sell Yahoo and AOL to a private equity firm, Apollo Global Management, for $5 billion.
Verizon is selling the Verizon Media Group for $5 billion. AOL and Yahoo will be sold to private equity firm Apollo Global Management.
The journey of AOL has been a rocky one, from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. It has now become a cautionary tale. It is one of the first companies to create that sense of community on the internet among its users through its buddy lists, instant messaging services, and chat rooms. It helped pioneer many online services we see today and shape the internet we have today. It will always be remembered as one of the most iconic companies to have existed in the realm of the internet. So let us bow our heads in remembrance of what once was AOL. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and see you next week. Do you remember AOL at all? Tell me about it in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.